Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be doing a little experiment. In one of Jennie's LA vlogs, she went to a bookstore and she picked up some books, and so I'm going to be reading like her for a week. Our list of books includes Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking by Malcolm Gladwell, Heart and Soul by Frederick, and Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Cain. And I'm super excited because none of these books really suit my personal reading preferences, because two of them seem like a psychology / self-help kind of books, and one of them is a romance set in Korea, and I'm very excited about that one because I have lived in Korea for some time, but I usually don't read romances ever, so this would be a perfect opportunity for me to get out of my comfort reading zone and read like Jennie from BLACKPINK for a week. I'm actually refilming this intro because the audio on the original clip was absolutely terrible, which explains why my hair is different in almost every single part of this video. Kinda like the hair of an K-pop idol if you think about it. Anyways, enough of talking, let's get to reading, and let's see if I'll still be a Blink after I finish reading Blink. Very clever, isn't it? Let's talk about Blink by Malcolm Gladwell first. I got this book used, by the way. It's the Czech edition. This book talks about how we make just really quick judgments in our daily lives, and sometimes we don't even realize that. And all of these decisions are made just on a subconscious level. Sometimes we just naturally associate certain people, certain things with being good or being bad, and we pass those judgments without even realizing it. And these judgments can obviously affect everyone around us. It also talks about certain body language, or more so like face language, about how we make certain expressions without even realizing it. It's a really interesting book. And I was surprised by it because I thought that it is a self-help book, but actually I think it should be classified as only a psychology book because it shows you different examples, it presents you these different case studies, but it doesn't really tell you about how you can really try to control the subconscious reactions. It just tells you, oh, sometimes your subconscious is really helpful and sometimes it's not, and it can be even harmful, but it doesn't give you a guide on how to navigate between those two. To be honest, I don't even mind that it wasn't really a self-help book, just because all of these case studies were super interesting, and I'm not that big on self-help anyway. I gave this book 4 stars, and to answer my previous question, yes, I'm still a Blink. I would recommend this book to others as well. Let's talk about Heart and Soul by Frederick. Oh boy, I really hope Jennie didn't pick this up because I hated it so much. This book feels like a cheap drama, except the ending is like an episode 8 when just things start to go really bad and they're kind of nonsensical, which wouldn't even be an issue if it wasn't for the set of unlikable characters, the insane plot twists that were just so far-fetched and unrealistic. There is no happy ending or even like happy for now ending, nothing of that sort. And to be fair, I don't even think that this should be advertised as a romance novel because it's really not. It's about a woman finding herself, trying to discover her identity as a Korean adoptee that grew up in America, which would have been okay. Like, I'm not that big fan of a romance anyway, so I don't really care about that. What I do care about is just the absolute ridiculousness of some of the plot twists that happen throughout this book. I will not spoil anything for you. And also, I feel like every single character is just unlikable and it's just filled with a bunch of cliches. Our main character, Hara, goes to Korea to discover her roots. She doesn't speak any Korean whatsoever. She didn't even learn the characters. If you don't know, Korean characters are an alphabet basically that are just put into blocks, so it's really easy to learn. And actually, I went to Korea before I studied there. I've learned the characters in like a few days. Like, it's really easy to do, and I feel like the main character just didn't do that because she just wanted to brag about how special and foreign she is. Now, what really annoyed me is that Hara didn't face any hardships whatsoever in the book. If you live in a country where you don't speak the language, you're gonna face a lot of consequences. Trust me, I know. And Hara didn't face any because every single time she got into trouble, somebody was just there to save her. If I had a shot every single time Hara was just saved by somebody out of nowhere, which didn't even make any sense, I would be really drunk right now and I probably would get alcohol poisoning. Also, I wasn't really a fan of the writing. Now, obviously, this is just my personal pet peeve, but I absolutely hate when people use foreign words, not because they cannot remember the word in a language or because they just are learning the language or anything like that, but only to sound cooler. And the amount of Korean words that were used in this book the second way was just ridiculous. Even my native language is Czech, and I hate when people use like random English words in a sentence to just sound cooler. Anyways, I digress. This book also tried to cover some negative aspects of maybe living in Korea, but it was presented to you through a foreign friend of Hara. I think her name was Jules, who was supposed to be this really negative and bitter person, and a lot of the issues that she brought up were just swept under the rug because it was explained that, oh, she's just bitter. So I didn't really like that either about the book. Now, overall, I think I rated this book like 2.5 stars. I was excited at first because I knew that I'm going to recognize some of the places that are mentioned in the book, but that excitement just died very quickly, and yeah, I just did not like this book at all. Hi, it's been more than a week now, but I'm finally ready to talk about Quiet by Susan Cain, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. So I was really excited for this book because I'm an introvert myself, and this book promised to give me a guide on how to navigate the world that heavily favors extroverted people, especially in the workplace. What are my strengths? Stuff like that. The book has a very similar structure to Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, the book I already talked about in this video, because each chapter is basically a case study of an event or a characteristic or a scientific experiment, and then it goes into the depth. There's tons of information. It's a really interesting book, and I would actually recommend it to other people. Generally, I feel like this book is better to just maybe read like a chapter every now and then, put it down, pick it up again when you want to, because it contains so much information, especially if you're someone like me who just can't read nonfiction just like that in like one sitting. Maybe, try out this approach instead. One more thing that I would like to mention is that sometimes this book references some really, I would say, unethical scientific testing on animals. So if you're super sensitive to that kind of stuff, I'm not sure if I would really recommend this book. I wanted to mention this because I feel like no one really said anything about it before. It's not in every chapter, but there's still way more than to my liking. So I just wanted to give you like a bit of a trigger warning, just so you wouldn't go into it blindly like I did. I really feel like I've learned so much about myself and introversion and science behind it, And I'm really glad that I have read this book for this video, because I don't think that I would pick it up, because it's just not really my cup of tea, you know. Alright, so let's do some conclusion. I have read 3 books for this video in more than a week. I ended up just going over the limit that I gave myself, but that's okay. I think my favorite one was Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, for sure. I feel like that book was super interesting, really digestible. Loved it. On second place, I would put Quiet by Susan Cain, which I actually really enjoyed as well. And then I would put Heart and Soul by Frederick. To be honest, since then I really got more into the romance genre, and I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks specifically about romance, so that's something, I guess. This was a really fun video to make. I feel like I got out of my comfort reading zone. I have read so many interesting books. I have learned so much. I got into a new genre, so I would like to make a similar video like this in the future, because why not, you know? Alright, that will be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.